Right, hello everyone. I'm just going to quickly talk you through how to use the materials that are inside your cyanotype bags that you will have been given after the workshop at Positive Choices on Friday, a workshop that was put on as part of City of Culture 2021. And these packs are designed so that if you're feeling really inspired with your printmaking, from what we'd done photographically in the workshop with pinhole photography, it's another technique that you can try at home and have a play with to continue with that creativity. So in your red bag that you've taken away with you, you have a pack which contains 2 sheets of ready coated cyanotype paper, and that's dry and inside this black bag here. The paper is De La Rowney Aquafine heavy duty watercolour paper, which has a solution of 2 iron salts, potassium ferricyanide and ammonium ferric citrate, painted onto it to make it light sensitive, but with iron salts. Because it's light sensitive, it's packed up in this black bag that keeps it dark, and it's important that you keep it inside the black bag except for when you're using it to make your prints. Also in your red bag you have a sheet of instructions so that you don't have to keep referring back to this video if you prefer, and some examples on there. You have 2 sheets of tracing paper that you might want to use to make your designs on, and a clip frame for both exposing your pictures and for displaying them afterwards if you like. So that's all in the red bag. I'll put that out of the way behind me. So what we're going to do is I'll just explain to you what to do with this stuff. Firstly, you need to decide what you want to make your print of. So have a look at the examples on the sheet and they give you an idea of what a finished cyanotype picture looks like. The image is going to be blue with this kind of white silhouette outline of whatever you decide to print. So that should give you some ideas. Things that work well are things that are quite flat and will sit nicely in the frame for being flat, and also things that are a little bit see-through that will let light through. So I often hold up whatever materials I'm using to the window, and as the light passes through them, that gives you an idea of the outline of them and what detail might come through in your print. So leaves, feathers, bits of plants from the garden. You might want to go on a nature walk and see what bits of plants you can find on the ground and things that might print interestingly. So collect yourself up some objects that will sit flat on the paper, and see-through things will allow you to have a bit more detail in your print. You'll also need a tray of water, just normal tap water, which I've got next to me here. Don't worry if you've not got a photographic tray. Any container for water that's as big as your print will work, or you can just put it directly in the sink. I'm using that so it's easier with the video. You might need some scissors if you're going to cut your tracing paper or cut your picture to be smaller, and you might need a Sharpie pen to draw on the tracing paper. Don't worry about colours for your drawing because it's going to come out black and blue anyway, no matter what you do. So first thing to do then is to maybe open your clip frame. I'm going to need to get into these. Now these will probably have a bit of coating covering the perspex, or oh actually these feel like they're glass. I think they should have been perspex. Do be careful with that because that is glass. I did think I'd ordered perspex, sorry about that. So do be careful, the glass will be fragile. So first thing to do, take the clips off the frame, remove the glass. It's not actually got any plastic covering to peel. You can get rid of the packaging for that. Then you can use this backing board to lay out your image if you're going to make a whole A4 one to start with. You might want to make a smaller one the first time around while you're testing out the way your picture's going to look, because you've only got 2 sheets of paper in here, so might take one image to figure out what it looks like. So decide what size your image is going to be. You can mark that up on the board. Then decide how you're going to lay out your objects. And I put a couple of the leaves on here. These leaf skeletons from the craft shop are great, but you can also use leaves from the garden, bits of feathers. I'm just doing this really quickly. These kind of dead flowers from the garden are good because you get a little bit of the like veins and things in it. So I'll lay them out at the bottom. And also I'm going to test the tracing paper. And I'm just going to really roughly tear the tracing paper so I get a nice kind of wavy edge. And I'm going to just write on that test and my name. And the date is the 23rd today. 23rd of the 2nd, 22. So that's all of my stuff laid out. I'm now going to open the paper. Now I'm ready and I know what my composition looks like. I'll take out a sheet of the paper and I'm taking this out inside and I'm in the shade. You don't want to do this bit in bright light. You'll notice one side of the paper is kind of green all over, the coated side, and one side is white. You want the coated side to be facing upwards. That's the side that you want to put your objects down on. It will have some thicker areas because it's all hand coated, so obviously there's bits of that aren't the same. Then pop your objects on top of it in the order that you've decided quickly. It's not a mad rush to do this if you're inside, but again, you don't want to be taking ages over it because you don't want to get too much daylight to that surface before it's exposing. So these spotty feathers give you a nice bit of detail. Then once you've got things laid on there, sandwich the glass on top. And this is an important bit because the glass squashes the objects down onto the paper. And when things are squashed onto the paper, you then get a much sharper outline. You'll get more detail in your print in the edges. If I was to use an object, for example, one of my bowls, I'm just putting these clips on to hold that so that the objects are squashed onto the page. And that also means they don't blow away as I'm making my print too. You'll notice the writing, put the writing so that it's the right way round so that you can read it. It's not a reverse print, so it's fine to have that the right way round. Now, if I was to use something like these bowls, which are lovely and see-through and make a nice pattern, because they, well, one, they wouldn't fit under the frame, but also because they're curved and they sit up from the paper, light would creep around them and would give you a very soft kind of undefined edge to them, really. With a flatter object, you get a crisper outline and a more defined edge. I might try actually putting one of these bowls upside down on a page to get that kind of apple outline. You can see what that does there, but I'll put that on top of the glass because that's heavy and that's not going to blow away. So my print's ready to go. Now the exposure part, and it's important for this that you go outside. I know it might be cold outside, it's the winter, you might not want to do that. I've got my hat on because of the winter. But if you don't go outside, your print won't get enough light to expose. It needs to be in a part outside that's directly in sunlight. So if we look out at my garden right now, I can see that the sunlight is down towards the bottom of the garden. So I'm going to quickly head out and put the print right at the bottom of the garden in bright sun. And it's blue sky today, it's fairly clear. So I think my exposure time is going to be around about 6 minutes. It depends entirely on the weather and how bright the sun is, how long your exposure lasts. I've made these prints in the snow in the middle of winter when the sky's been really grey, and that's taken a whole hour. I've also made them in kind of rainy conditions. If it's raining, I'd put tape all around the edges of your frame to stop any moisture from getting to the paper whilst it's exposing. And if it's a cloudy day, it might take half an hour. If it's light cloud, 10 minutes or so. But today in bright sun, I think it'll be 5 minutes. So I'll stop this here and be back in a second once that's exposed to show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've now taken this cyanotype paper and my frame out into the garden and put it in direct sun. Now you'll notice that the sun is behind me, the sun's behind the house, and it's beaming fully onto the paper. So I've not put it in the shade anywhere under the tree in the garden. I've chosen the sunniest patch that I can find, and that will make the exposure nice and quick for us. I gave up on using my glass bowl because I couldn't lean the print upwards with that, and I felt like if it was flat it was going to take longer to expose, so that's an experiment for another day maybe. So you'll notice as it's out here in the sun, what was a kind of lime green colour inside is reacting with the daylight and it's slowly changing colour. So I'm watching this now and I'm waiting for it to turn a kind of navy bluish green, and once it's gone a navy bluish green in about 5 minutes, then I know that that's cooked and ready to take into process. So this print has now been outside in the garden for about 10 minutes, and you can see how what was a kind of light limey green colour has now turned into this dark navy blue. So my helper Stanley is an expert in this process, and he's going to help me now show you how to develop it. So we're going to open the clips on the clip frame and remove the paper. You don't want to make the frame and the objects soggy. So take off your glass and slide off your materials. You'll then see this kind of greeny outline on the paper where the light hasn't got to the iron salts. And what's happened is the daylight has hit the paper around that's not been covered by the objects, and it's hardened the iron salts. And we're now going to put the paper into water. Do you want to do this bit, Stan? You can drop. Okay. So as we dunk the paper into the water, and give the water a swish over the surface of the print, and you'll see that greeny blue colour starts to turn that lovely bright Prussian blue colour that we associate with the cyanotype print. And this is kind of the magic bit where your print becomes permanent and the image appears really clearly. So you'll notice there's some areas along the edge where the coating was a little bit thick, where the chemical hasn't hardened into the paper, so that's going to give you a bit of a border. But that's kind of the hand-coated nature of this paper, and because it was dried flat, I didn't have space in my darkroom to hang it all to dry. So just give it a rinse until the green stain is lifted out and it's starting to look bright white. If you're at home, I'd probably give it a rinse under the tap at this point as well to wash the last of the green out. And then that's your print made. You've just got to dry it and display it. You can see the detail in the leaf there, and the outlines of the shapes. You'll notice where the tracing paper was. The tracing paper has blocked a little bit of the light, and you've got this kind of border that shows you that kind of torn edge of the tracing paper.
Why not test program?
Because this is my test one, and that's my name. So have fun with your printmaking activities with this pack, and thanks for listening. So I hope that's been useful for you, and I hope that your printmaking packs with the cyanotype packs work well and you get some good results. Do tag me into any images that you make that you want to share on Instagram. I'm Joe_Gane1 on Instagram, and I hope you get to make some nice blueprints. Thanks, bye.